let's talk about birth control. For so many people, it's just a normal part of life. But what if I told you the story of contraception is way bigger and honestly a lot more fascinating than what you might think? We're going to go way beyond the pill. So let's just start with the most basic question you could ask. When I say birth control, what's the very first thing that pops into your head? For most of us, the answer is pretty obvious. Yep, exactly. It's right there in the name, isn't it? The number one job, the main reason it was even invented, is to prevent pregnancy. That's why most people start using it. Super simple, right? But what if that incredibly important job is really just the beginning of the story? What if the whole world of birth control is packed with all these unexpected benefits that can actually change your health for the better in ways you never even imagined? This is where things get really interesting. We're talking about a whole suite of health benefits that go far, far beyond just family planning. And for a lot of people, these so-called side benefits are actually the main reason they use it. This is where their story really begins. For starters, hormonal birth control can give you incredible control over your own body. Think of it like this. It helps even out that hormonal roller coaster that drives your cycle. It can turn a period that's unpredictable and painful into something that's regular and way more manageable. How? Well, by preventing ovulation, it can seriously reduce those awful uterine contractions that cause cramps. And for anyone with really heavy bleeding, it can lighten things up enough to prevent stuff like iron deficiency anemia. And the benefits don't even stop there. Since our hormones have their hands in so many different things, getting them regulated can have some amazing ripple effects. Combination pills, for instance, are fantastic at clearing up hormonal acne. And for people dealing with really painful conditions like endometriosis or polycystic ovary syndrome, you probably know it as PCOS, hormonal birth control can be a frontline treatment that seriously improves your quality of life. It can be a total game changer. Okay, now take a look at this number, 50%. That is a massive number, and it represents what might just be one of the most significant, life-saving, and least known benefits of using birth control pills. So what's the 50% for? It means that people who use the pill are about 50% less likely to get ovarian cancer. And this isn't some temporary thing either. This protective shield can last for up to 30 years after you stop taking it. On top of that, it slashes the risk of endometrial cancer by at least 30% and even colorectal cancer by up to 20%. That is a seriously powerful long-term health benefit packed into one tiny pill. All right, let's zoom out for a minute. We've been talking about all these incredible personal benefits, but how does contraception fit into the world on a global scale? What's the bigger picture here? Globally, there are 1.1 billion women of reproductive age who have a need for family planning. I mean, just let that number sink in. It's staggering, and it really highlights just how fundamental and widespread this need truly is. And if we zoom in on the US, you can see some clear preferences. Female sterilization is actually number one overall, but that's mostly driven by women in their 40s. For younger women, it's all about reversible methods, like the pill and these things called LARCs. That stands for long-acting reversible contraceptives, like IUDs and implants. It just goes to show how your needs can totally change over your lifetime. But, and this is a really big but, access to contraception, and even just knowing about your options, is not equal for everyone. This data from Serbia is such a stark reminder of that. Look, over 91% of women in the general population have heard of emergency contraception, but that number absolutely plummets to just 30% in Roma settlements. This shines a huge spotlight on the critical gaps in information and access that exist for marginalized communities all over the world. So all of this data really brings us to the most important question for anyone thinking about contraception. With so many choices out there, how in the world do you find the one that's actually the right fit for you? The first big fork in the road is basically this: hormonal versus non-hormonal. Hormonal methods, like the pill or the patch, use hormones to stop ovulation. Non-hormonal methods, like condoms or copper IUD, create a physical barrier or an environment where sperm just can't survive. It's kind of the difference between managing your body system from the inside versus just putting up a really effective security gate at the front door. Ultimately, the best method is a deeply personal choice. There's no one-size-fits-all answer. It really depends on your age, your health, and what you're hoping to get out of it. Are you looking for those other perks, like clearer skin? Is your lifestyle one where remembering a pill every day is easy? And this is a crucial one. Do you need protection against STIs? Because only condoms can do that. This is the million-dollar question, right? Because all the popularity and cool perks don't really matter if a method isn't reliable when you need it to be. So let's look at the real-world numbers. The difference in how well these work really comes down to human error. LARCs, those are the set it and forget it IUDs and implants, are over 99% effective. Why? Because you can't really mess them up. Then you've got the pill, which you have to take every day, and that comes in at about 93% with typical use. And condoms, which have to be used perfectly every single time, are around 87% effective. You can really see why those LARCs have become so popular. And then you have what are called fertility awareness methods. This is where you track your cycle to figure out when you're fertile. Their effectiveness has this huge range, from 77% all the way up to 98%. So why the giant gap? Because to get anywhere near that top number, you have to be incredibly consistent and perfect with your tracking every single day. No exceptions. The ability to even have this conversation, to find what works for you, to weigh all these factors, it brings us to a much bigger idea. So as we start to wrap this up, let's elevate this conversation. Because access to contraception isn't just about personal health. It's about something much, much bigger. See, when people can actually plan their families, it has this massive ripple effect across all of society. It allows women to finish their education and build careers, which boosts entire economies. It reduces health risks related to pregnancy, which improves public health for everyone. This is how access to contraception becomes a true cornerstone of gender equality. In the end, it really all comes down to this powerful statement from the World Health Organization. This isn't just about a pill or a procedure. It's about a fundamental human right, the right to control your own body, your own future, and your own life. And that is a story worth understanding.